Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Overlook Drive-In back with sort of a normal episode anyways, if you can call it that. It is December the 20th, 2022. That's, I don't know about the rest of y'all out there, but that's making me feel just a little bit old. Little tiny wee bit old. I don't have Tom Brady genes going on. Mike will be joining us momentarily, I believe. So you get to endure me for a few minutes. How's everybody doing? Spend some time with the chat here. It's that crazy time of year where we're all rushing around everywhere, or not all of us anyways, but running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to find that last minute gift. And then you got to sit there and think, is this person really worthy of the horrific headache that this is going to cause me to go out and get them this gift? Now, the comeback to that might be, why are you waiting so long to get them the gift? Yeah, I'll take a few of those millions. That'd be fun. How's everybody doing tonight? I know things are a little chaotic at the channel. Going to try to draw a little bit of a picture, paint a picture anyway, and give you guys an idea of what's kind of happening. So next week, as long as Mike and I have time to do it, we will be doing Terrifier 2. Tonight is just going to be Terrifier 1. We had a little bit of a schedule conflict where I really needed to come on early and Mike needed a little bit later, so we met in the middle. We're just doing Terrifier tonight, but we're also going to talk about Scream as well. Next week's Terrifier 2, and then hopefully Mike, who's just getting loaded in the studio now, will approve the movie that I'm putting in the private chat right now. Actually, the next two movies to kick off 2023 with. So hopefully we'll be able to reveal that to you guys this evening. Joining us, he is the host of the Take One podcast. He's the co-host of the Four Wide podcast. He is Mr. Mike Bish. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude, man? It's good to hear your voice. I know it's been only been a week.
We actually sound like ourselves again for the first time.
I know. It's funny. I went back not too long ago and listened to the podcast when we first came back, and we were still kind of sick. And man, for me, at least I can tell for me myself, I was sniffling and like, oh man, I sound terrible. I felt like I could hear myself talking through my nose. So, man, it's good to be back. I feel a lot better. Hopefully, you feel a lot better too. And I'm ready to dive into this, man. Super excited to be back on the Overlook and grading some movies, diving into some movies, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, we're gonna talk some Scream. So that's exciting. We haven't had a chance. We thought we might have had a chance last week to talk about Scream 6 and the teaser that came out. And God knows Dean is just biting his fingernails off with anticipation of this Scream 6 talk. But
come on, Dean.
We're gonna dive into Terrifier as well. But before we do, we're gonna have some fun with some sports talk since Mike's sporting a new Eagles hat there.
It's actually old, man. I've had this for a long time. I just don't ever wear it. Yeah, I have way too many hats, if I'm being honest.
My problem is I'll buy a hat
and wear the hell out of it.
6 months, and then it's never wearable again.
Same. I'm the same way.
I was walking by a hat today because everything's been unpacked, and I stopped. I'm like, that hat is in remarkably good condition. It was a Team Canada hockey hat, and I only have worn it like 3 years. I probably only wore it a couple of times after I got it. I'm like, I should do that with most of my hats, but I don't have that kind of money. buy a hat, not what.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I just, I have it and I just don't wear them. It's like I have that one or two favorite hats that I love. They're my go-to. It fits perfectly. It looks good. Yeah. So.
I was just asking the audience before you got in here, dude. Who's got last minute Christmas shopping to do, and is this a regular thing for you? Do you try to get it done early, and just inevitably you still have to do more late, or do you got yours done? I'm the late guy. I try to get it done early, and usually right up until Christmas Eve, it's like, oh my god, what can I get?
Yeah, but it's like what's your when you said try, I was like, what's your definition of try? Because I sit here and tell myself in October, I'm like, oh man, next month is Black Friday. It'd be a good time to get all of my shopping done and be ahead of schedule. So I tell myself that every year, but do I actually try? No, I don't put that effort in. That I tell myself I should put that effort in. I've gotten some done for my nieces and nephews, but I'm not done yet. And knowing me, I plan to do it Thursday after work, but knowing me, I'll do it Saturday, Christmas Eve. Luckily, it's on a Saturday, so I can get up super early. But man, even this past weekend when I did a little Christmas shopping, it was busy. The lines were super long, the traffic was terrible. It's just that time of year that I hate being outside.
Man, going into a Walmart at this time of year just makes me want to bash
RIP.
the wall. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, going into a Walmart any time of the year is almost like that, but right now,
Yeah.
especially, just like, oh my god, what have I subjected
Easily, yeah.
myself? It's just something else. Who's the hardest person you have to shop for?
Actually, nobody. Because I've kind of just I used to like I would say probably 2 or 3 years ago, I had to buy everybody something. Like I felt that way. It's just not that they were asking for it. It's just I wanted, to show people that I cared in that way. And um so it was always stressful to figure out like what my mom wanted, what my dad wanted. And I still I basically buy them gift cards now. I know that's kind of a cop out, but my mom appreciates it. I know especially for the gift cards that I get her, and then my dad likes it too. So I think for the adults it's the easier thing, which the only adults I buy for is my mom and my dad, and I get them gift cards every year. My nieces and nephews are super easy. My nieces are into baby dolls, Barbies, and stuff like that. And my nephew, he's into sports and Pokemon cards and NASCAR and stuff like that. So he's super easy to buy for. And then my youngest nephew, who just turned 1, I can literally buy him. I don't know. I can give him a box of Tupperware, and he'll love that. Which I'm not going to. I'm just saying that I could. So it's not hard for me to shop anymore. So luckily for me. What about you?
I'm pro gift card, right? Like, I know there's some people that think that takes the thought out of the gift, but I try to be a little bit conventional here and say it's 2000, it's almost 2023, and sometimes people just need stuff, more so than want stuff, and maybe you don't know what they
Yeah,
need, so get them a gift card. I To me, a gift card is still a thoughtful gift, unless you're damn sure you know what you're getting. Um,
I
Jen,
agree. I agree.
Jensen seems like he's easy because right now it would be like dinosaurs, dinosaurs, got to get more dinosaurs. But he's kind of gone through like 3 different phases. The first year it was Baby Shark. The second year was monster trucks, and now he's almost 3. It's been dinosaurs. I'm expecting there to be a new thing next year, so
Yeah, I get that, man.
we'll have to wait and see. Before we dive into Scream Talk, though, Mike has confirmed it, so we can confirm our first 2 movies
Hmm.
of 2023. Next week will be Terrifier 2, and as long as Mike and I both have the time, it'll be Halloween 1978 for the Patreon Gold Room episode for December. So
I'm
we'll
good with that.
the original Halloween to end the year. We'll probably do Terrifier 2 first on here, and we'll just do Terrifier 2. So that'll probably be like 30, 45 minutes. And then we'll switch over to the Patreon and do the Gold Room for Halloween 78. Take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back in the new year with these two gems. The Batman, followed by Seven, which is unique because the films are very, very much alike, in my opinion. One's a little heavier than the other. I don't think Mike has seen Seven yet, so that's exciting.
I have not.
And I've been dying to watch The Batman since March. I watched it twice when it first came out. I have not watched it at home yet, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really big start to 2023, and it's perfect because when we do The Batman, my oldest guy will be here, and we'll get to watch it again. So we've been kind of putting it up a couple months again, or a couple months now, anyway.
So you said you had a sports question? Oh, it was down to talk some sports.
Oh, yeah. So my sports question, not necessarily question, but I had someone run this theory. There's some news. We've talked about this on air before.
Oh, love that.
Dean Renner says Seven is getting a 4K treatment in 2023. Fuck my shit up with that.
Okay, nice.
I do Morgan Freeman. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, who
hard
would?
not to like?
It's Morgan Freeman. Okay, so someone ran this by me. There's a lot of people talking Tom Brady smack, which I don't think is right at all. The dude's like, what, 45, 46 years old, and still playing pretty good, if you ask me, especially for his age.
Yeah.
That team is not playing very good, and I'm sure he could play better too, or hopes he can play better anyway. And yet they're on pace to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
How worried are you if your dynamite Eagles have to cross paths with a Tampa Bay team that they should probably wreck, and yet you watch Tom Brady come out of a tunnel in the postseason?
Well, listen. The way things are set up right now, it would be Tampa Bay versus Dallas. And you want to talk about the biggest Tampa Bay fan in the world? That would be me. The way things are set up right now, Eagles will have the first round bye, which would be great. Jalen Hurts is nursing a sprained shoulder, so luckily we're in a position to where we can kind of rest him this weekend. This big game versus Dallas this weekend doesn't really mean much anymore with Dallas losing to Jacksonville, so that's kind of unfortunate. The heights aren't there, so the Eagles can afford to rest Jalen Hurts this weekend. And but to answer your overall question, if it worked out to where Tampa Bay beat Dallas, and Tampa Bay worked their way up to the number, to face Philly, it's Tom Brady. Of course, I'd be a little scared. I don't say I'm very true to what I believe. I do think the Eagles have the best overall team in the league, so I think it would be a good match. I think we would win. But what would scare me, Shawn, is Tampa Bay. Real quick, Tampa Bay has lost a lot of people, right? To injuries. The team has walked away. Tom Brady doesn't have a lot around him, and although he is playing pretty good still for his age, he's not playing great. He's just not in a position anymore to carry a team. Doesn't mean he still can't play good football. So what I envision is if he decides to come back for one more year, he's a free agent next year. I know everybody is speculating him maybe come back to New England, but why not go to the team that you rooted for 1 year, that you rooted for as a kid, to the San Francisco 49ers? With that defense, you want to talk about, am I scared? I would be terrified next year. I would be terrified. But
I'm not a football insider by any means. My football intake is by drive into work. I usually catch the football segment at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
You wake up really early, by the way.
It is what it is. And they, a lot of people seem to think that him going to the 49ers next year is a legitimate possibility. I'll say this, that game a couple weeks ago where they're down, what is it, like 14-3 with 3 minutes to go, and they win, or 14-3 and they win 17-16 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the shit that worries me, that if he can keep his team close in a game, like if I'm another team, you want to
Yeah.
like have a huge lead late in the game. You don't want to be just within a couple of scores and give Tom Brady a chance. Dude is I
Agreed.
believe in, I know there's people that legitimately don't believe in clutch when it comes to sports. I'm not one of them. I completely believe in clutch. I believe in stand-up performances, coming up big in the moment, and I don't know if there's a better athlete in the world than Tom Brady.
That man's the definition of clutch. Like, there's a few players in the league over the years, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes. Like, if I know there's a minute left on the clock or 50 seconds left on the clock, there's usually no doubt in my mind that they're going down to win the game. Whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, it's already there. And last point on this, real quick, on Brady, I have mixed feelings about Brady. He beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, so I kind of dislike him a little bit for that. But as a person, I loved the Tom Brady that we got in Tampa Bay. I felt like he's opened up a lot more. It's been more vocal. And Tom Brady went to Michigan. I'm a big Michigan fan, so there's always been some love there for Brady for me, and definitely the GOAT in my eyes. So.
Good shit. We'll have to see what happens. Season's coming to a close here soon, and a team that's 6-8 is leading a division. And to me, that just, if I'm other teams, if they can make the playoffs, finishing 7-10, it would be, or 8-9. That's a team you just gotta be like, okay, probably shouldn't be here, and yet they're probably gonna upset someone. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on. Dude, Scream teaser finally came out. Scream 2 exclamation points. Wait, no, Scream 6. What did you think? It was short, it was sweet, it was to the point. It basically was what we said it might be last week on the show in terms of showing some of New York and the subway and very little of anything else. Overall,
Yeah.
man, what did you think of this teaser? Did it do it for you?
Yeah. Honestly, it was everything that I wanted. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of the first teaser trailer that we got for Halloween Ends. Now we knew the stuff that happened behind the scene. Well, we knew everything that happened in that movie, so we were able to point out some things that didn't make sense and stuff like that. But as far as like the length of Halloween Ends and like what the trailer did itself, it kind of reminded me of that in a way. I like my trailers, especially when it comes to movies that I'm really interested in, especially horror movies. Like, I like them short. I like them to set a tone. And if you can set a tone in that short amount of time, you have my attention. Like, there's no doubt about it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the last Scream, but I'm a Scream fan. I'm gonna go see this movie no matter what. But this teaser trailer that we got, I thought it was pretty cool. I like the whole New York City um scene, and that's either going to work for them or it's not. We kind of have to wait to see, but it definitely intrigues me. Obviously, definitely coming out of Woodsboro and going into a major city. I really like that. um and I just like the whole subway scene. Now, how much of that is in the movie and how much of that is actually true, I don't know. There's conflicting reports that doesn't happen in the movie, or that's just I don't know, different shots that are kind of meshed together, kind of stuff that we heard about a little bit on in the last Scream. But as far as the teaser trailer itself and did it deliver, I got to be honest, it's what I wanted. Short, sweet, and you set a tone. So has me very interested. And obviously, the picture that you got up on the screen was a picture that was released as well, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Scream fan, although I do think I enjoyed 5 better than a lot of or more anyways than a lot of the other people at the channel did. Was not a fan of 4 at all. Um, wasn't sure what to think of this one.
Yeah.
And we got the teaser, and the teaser ended. I was just kind of like, yeah, that's how you do a teaser. A properly well put together short teaser for a horror movie. And guess what? If I, not that I'm a marketing major, far from it, Um, but if I were them, and when they do a full length trailer, I wouldn't have that sucker be any more than 90 to 100 seconds. You don't even
Yeah.
need a full 2 minutes. You really don't. Like, what happened to the day and age where we can sell a movie exactly how Dean Renner puts it here? Shows you New York, shows you returning cast, shows you Ghostface costume, throws in that exciting moment of Mindy getting grabbed, and then the title. Horror movie trailers, pardon me, teasers used to be like this all the time. And now it seems like when we get a teaser for most movies anyway, it's 2 minutes long or 2.5 minutes long, and then the real one comes out and it's 3 minutes long, sometimes 3.5, for bigger blockbuster movies. And I thought this was very well put together. Does it mean the movie's gonna be any good? No, not necessarily, but I gotta tell you, from the way they put the trailer together, to me, it sold me. This is a movie that I am willing to pay to see what goes down. You know, we've
Mhm.
heard about the possible tone shift and the change of direction in the franchise. I want to throw this out there to you, Mike. So I know a lot of people went to see the new Halloween movies because of Jamie Lee Curtis. I know there's some people that'll deny it, but the fact is, a lot of general audience members see, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis, I want to go see that.
True.
Um, I think though, when franchises aren't tied down to legacy characters, the potential to go out there and do more unique things and more unique takes on the franchise and go to more unique settings, and it just you can play with it a little. You can take chances. You almost have to take chances because you don't have that star power to ride on. And
Yeah.
I like the potential of the Scream franchise moving forward without Nev Campbell, and that might piss people off. If I were them, I'd kill Gail in this movie too. I don't know if she's going to die or not, but I would kill them all off. And will it be, this massive blockbuster, every time you release a new Scream movie after that?
Uh,
Maybe not, but look how successful the Saw franchise was.
yeah.
I'm not a big Saw fan. I like the first couple, but in terms of milking a movie and milking the movie in the box office, I think they did a good enough job of doing that with those movies, and
Yeah.
I see Scream going a similar route here.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with you. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do or where that's gonna go. Um, I could see us, and I can see them going different ways on this one. I can see them going the way that you talk about, um, and kind of continue this with this new cast, this legacy cast, and finishing up this movie with Scream 7, or this, these three films with Scream 7, with this cast and these group of actors and actresses. Um or I can see them killing Gale in this movie and bringing Nev Campbell back for a final showdown in Scream 7. I don't That's probably the least likely to happen in my opinion, but when I sit back and think about it, I could definitely see something like that happening. Now, they're gonna have to throw the bag at Nev if they want her to come back, because in a sense, I'm sure she feels disrespected, and in her, rightfully so, if that's how she feels. Um, so they're gonna have to throw the bag at her and hope that she comes back, and it all depends if that's what she really wants. So, um, I could definitely see that happening, man. I really could. Or you can just not even go down that route. And I'm interested to see how they mention Nev in this, or Sydney Prescott, obviously for the plot, how they mention her and what she's doing, because I'm sure that's going to be brought up in this movie some way somehow. Um, but yeah, man, I definitely like the fact of killing off Gale. Like I'm totally down for that. I think that it should happen. I love Dewey, but I thought that kill was probably my favorite part of the movie. You know, I love the way that he died. It was brutal. 2 knives to the front and back and all the way up. Like that was absolutely a brutal way to go out. Like there's no doubt about it. And I knew he was going to go out. So I agree with you on that. Um, And real quick, as far as trailer wise, I think and marketing in general, I think that they did a really good job with their first movie. As far as marketing, that first main trailer, Sean, was right at a little over 2 minutes, which isn't too long in my opinion for a trailer. And that final trailer was just 1 minute and 10 seconds. So as far as trailer wise in that first film, I thought they did perfect with it. And they're starting off in this sixth film doing great as well with this short teaser trailer. So I've been pretty happy with them so far when it comes to marketing and the length of their trailers. I've really enjoyed that. And I think they've hit it out the park so far with their marketing in both movies.
So I don't want to see a final showdown because it's not really a final showdown. It's not like it's the same Ghostface killer coming back every movie. It's just Tom, Dick, and
Well,
Harry on the Ghostface costume, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one, unless they go
yeah,
the
you
long.
bring
Yeah, if somehow
Stu
Stu,
Macher back. Yeah.
but that feels like that thing that all fans clamor for, and it never happens.
True.
You know, and I think that's what that is. I don't think that's happening. I think they're trying to go in a different direction here, whether the audience likes it or not. I'd be for Stu, and if it is Stu, then okay, bring Sydney back as a lead in another film. But that also feels like it's going backwards while Scream's trying to go in a new direction to an extent, while still honoring some of the past by having Gail in the movie. In terms of what Dean said in the chat, if Scream 7 happens, to my knowledge, there's already
It's
early
happening,
work
yeah.
happening on Scream 7.
Yeah. Scream 7's happening 100%. But my thing is,
unless it bombs horrifically to where the studio's like, yeah, maybe not. I can't. Like, it would have to be.
It's not going to. It's just not. It's not going to bomb like that. Now, I have to be honest. It's just not going to bomb. Even though I didn't enjoy the last Scream movie, it's just not going to bomb. So they're definitely coming back for a Scream 7. It's kind of a little bit already in the works. But I will say, Stu is not coming back in this movie. Like I don't think he's coming back at all in this film. Just me personally. Um, Listen, I have been on the record that Sidney Prescott, Nev Campbell is my favorite final girl. Um, she's always been my favorite. And Sean, I've supported and I love Jamie Lee Curtis as a final girl, but I've also been on record saying that they should have moved off of Jamie Lee Curtis a long time ago. That's just my personal opinion. And I think that they should have done the same thing with Nev. As much as I love Nev and love seeing her in these films because she is so good on camera and, it hits a heartstring with me. Sometimes it's just, time to move on from a story. I said the same thing with, Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode, and I'm saying the same thing with Sidney Prescott and Nev Campbell. It's just there comes a time, and I think that time is now.
We'll have to wait and see what happens, man. When does Scream 6 come out anyway?
March 10th.
Okay,
so really not that far away.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Do we know if it's getting an IMAX release?
I sure hope so. I don't even remember if the last one did or not.
I don't remember either. Man, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But we have another movie to talk about tonight, and I'm really curious to see how the rest of this episode is going to go. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into Terrifier. Terrifier. Let's dive into the flick here, directed by Mike. You might be able to help me out here. Directed Damien Leone. Is that right?
Yep. Damien Leone. Yep.
And he also wrote it. He also produced it. And to my knowledge, he is heavy into the special effects work. Correct?
Correct. He is, especially in this first. I mean, in both films, but especially in this first film, he's really the main guy. Period.
It was released March 15th, 2018 in the United States. running time's 86 minutes, and this film was made on the insane blockbuster budget of $35,000.
Yeah, it's a big film, man. Big film. And not to jump ahead, but just to give people an idea, Terrifier 2 was made for around 300,000, I believe. So that is a major jump from 35,000. But you know, Shawn, let's be honest, even 300,000 to make a movie is not a lot.
Yeah, no, not it wasn't a lot back then, and it's basically almost impossible now. By the way, I do know it says Shutter Island up there in the top left. That's a boo boo on my behalf. But Mike, why don't you talk to us a little bit about when did you experience Terrifier for the first time, and what kind of impression did it leave on you?
So I'll be honest. I knew Terrifier was out for a long time. It was something that just never interested me, man. I was just not the biggest fan of it. And this is for me not seeing it. I didn't. It didn't look like a film that would interest me. Like something I know what I like, and it was just something that I knew I probably wouldn't like. And I remember there was a few weeks. It was a few weeks before. Actually, I want to say a week before Terrifier 2 came out, and a lot of buzz was around Terrifier 2, and a lot of people were talking about one, how much better it was for or how much better it was in the first film, and how the acting in Terrifier 2 was. And I was just like, man, like this movie is getting a lot of praise for it, you know, getting a lot of praise. And then, not to jump too ahead or spoil anything, but just a little tidbit, you know, I said that movie was made for 300,000 and it was put in limited theaters. Terrifier 2 was, and made, I think, over $10 million in the theater. So I was like, well, what is it about this Terrifier, like Art the Clown? Like, what is it about it that's driving these people to go see this movie? So I was like, before I see the second one, I have to watch the first one. So I sat down and I watched the first one. And it was kind of one of those movies where I was kind of on my phone scrolling through, and very quickly I kind of looked up and was kind of glued to the TV. And I'll be honest with everybody here, it's not because the storyline was great. It's not because the acting was absolutely phenomenal, outside of one person, in my opinion. And we'll talk about that. But I was just glued to this Art the Clown character and his facial expressions and what he did and how brutal and gory this movie was. It had been a long time since I've seen a movie be very unapologetic the way that this movie was. So I was just kind of, it was more of a shock factor for me, Shawn, watching this movie. And the picture that you got up now, I remember seeing this scene because it happened very quickly, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's not a lot of killers out there that use guns like this. Like, I know Ghostface has used a gun here and there, but like, you never see a Michael Myers or a Jason, you know, you never really see any of that stuff. So I knew that this guy was different, and I've seen and I've tried and I've attempted to watch a million horror clown movies, and outside of it, nothing has really stuck with me. But Art the Clown, the way that he doesn't talk, his goofiness, it looks like he's playing around with you to be your friend, and then he just goes cohorts and like cuts your neck off or stabs you in the, like, he's just absolutely brutal, and he's unapologetic about it. And I think that's the most that I enjoy about this film, and we'll obviously dive into it deeper and with our rankings and stuff. But the impression that it left on me was, I believe that based on the second one, we'll see how that goes. But coming out of this movie, I was like, Art the Clown, who's played by David Howard Thornton, has a chance to make a stamp in the horror genre as far as just a horror character. And that's kind of what I walked away with going into Terrifier 2.
Yeah, dude, you know, before to be honest, I have not watched Terrifier 2 yet. I could tell what the hype was just by watching the first one. And it's David Howard Thornton. He is remarkable. He's charismatic. He demands attention. He is 100% of this movie because my opinion of the rest of the movie
110.
is not very good. But he it's him. Without his performance, I don't know what the hell this is. So,
Not good.
I think they have something, or he has something, anyways. Well, dude, you interviewed the guy, I believe. So, what's he like? Tell us a little bit about him, but don't give everything away. Go listen to Take One podcast for the whole thing.
Yeah, I was super excited about it, man. I have to be honest with you. He was nice. He was super nice. You never would have thought that, um, by talking to him, that he put what he did on screen. And I kind of just talked to him about how the special effects were, how what he did to get this role, how did he prepare for this role, how hard was the role. He has a history in performing on Broadway, and obviously that shows in his character if you've seen the movies. So yeah, man. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal to talk to. It was really nice. Uh, there's a big difference between the first movie and the second movie. Obviously, the budget has a lot to play with that, even though it's still considered a lower budget. But just this movie, and I kind of talked to him about this as well. This movie is more of, doesn't really have a storyline. The acting isn't out of this world. So I kind of just talking to him, I was just like, this Terrifier, this first film seems like an introduction to Art the Clown. Like, you're getting to know Art the Clown, the killer, and what he's all about. Outside of that, there's really not much there. And he alluded to that. And he said that there was no way they could go into Terrifier 2 and that movie be carried just by Art the Clown himself. So that's all I'll say as far as that interview and as far as Terrifier 2. But there is a big difference between the movies. There's big upgrades. But this Terrifier movie, this first installment, was, you put it perfectly, Shawn, was all about Art the Clown. And I think everybody, even involved in the film, knows that.
I think I read somewhere that David Leon has had Art the Clown pop up in one or two other films prior to Terrifier with someone else playing the character.
Yeah, somebody else was playing it and it just didn't hit. And maybe I saw it then and I remembered it and it just didn't do anything for me. And I can tell you from the moment that David Howard Thornton popped on the screen, it was a difference, and I noticed quickly. And anytime that you can get high praises from Stephen King and Mike Flanagan, I think goes a long way and goes to show what more so the second movie does, but what Art the Clown himself does and what David Howard Thornton did with this character.
If you want to check out the rest of Mike's interview with David Howard Thornton, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those other podcatchers, and check out the Take One podcast, episode 28 with David Howard Thornton. He made this movie for me, man. Without him, I don't know where this movie would be. But
Yeah,
let's dive
agreed.
into it, because we have categories to go over. I got to pull up my scorecard so I remember what I scored things. And it starts with story and pacing. All right, Mike. There's no fucking story to this movie, dude.
No, there isn't. And you'll see in my scores that I was very, very nice. I am a homer for this. And you'll see that in my score. This is probably the only movie the first movie that I'm admitting this to. And I don't mind talking openly about it, but Shawn, you brought it up, and to David Howard Thornton's credit, and even in past interviews with Damien Leone. I mean, this was a movie that they made on $35,000, so they didn't have these Hollywood actors. They didn't have all of this, you know, this stuff to play with like major films could. And again, it goes back to what David Howard Thornton said and kind of what you alluded to, and really anybody that watches this movie. There's really no storyline at all here. It's all about Art the Clown. Like, this is a movie that if you just want to throw in and watch somebody go crazy and see some good gory kills, this is the movie that you watch. If you want to watch something for a really good storyline and something that really interests you, probably not the best movie to watch. I would prefer you to watch the second one over this one, but you obviously got to get through the first one to understand who Art the Clown is and things like that till you get to that second one. But for me, story and pacing, I did score it a little high, but you're totally right. There's really no story here. The pacing, I personally didn't have a problem with the pacing, just only because I knew exactly what was going on. I think it kind of starts heavy in the very beginning, and I'll be honest, this was a hard movie for me to watch as far as gore factor. I love gore, but there were some scenes that I had to turn away to, and I think we'll kind of touch on that more when it comes to cinematography. But I gave it a 7. I know that's super high, but yeah. I would love for Tommy B to watch this movie. Oh, you're on mute.
Tommy could not handle that. Let's not subject him to that. Did you see us last night on Monday Night Fandom? Which, by the way, if anybody hasn't heard, we have a new show on the channel, Monday Night Fandom, where it's kind of similar to what Fandom Empire Live was, except for we're occasionally going to be streaming games. And last night we were playing Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 and talking board games and tabletop games that we like to play. And Tommy, who has never really played Warzone Warzone at all, really, ended up being the last guy on our squad alive late in the game. And
I didn't have a chance to watch it. I tuned in like the first 15 minutes before y'all started playing.
Yeah, it was it was it was something.
So you said Tommy couldn't handle it, and I don't want to jump ahead really. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in cinematography, but as far as like, I guess it's part of the story, could you handle the kills in this movie? Was there some that kind of made you queasy?
No, nothing made me queasy. I was
Oh,
gore doesn't do it for me, man. Gore.
yeah,
It's probably why I loved Halloween so much, right? Like, Halloween's built on
true,
mood,
yeah.
atmosphere and sound design, and what is it that David Cray always says? The theater of the mind, where there's not really any theater of the mind going on in this movie, other than you can try to get in Art's mind, but like, good luck with that. Like,
That's kind of hard, yeah.
So I got to give the story and pacing a 2 in this, man. I know that's criminally low, but
No.
There's not a lot here. This is a movie that was built on the back of clearly a very talented performer. So I am curious to see where the step up comes for the second movie, because the first movie
A storyline.
hopefully
There's a pretty good storyline, a good final girl. Honestly, a really good final girl, to the point where Mike Flanagan is all over Twitter giving roses. So I'm excited for you to watch that one.
I am looking forward to diving into it a bit. A little bit of a bigger budget too will certainly help. Justin said he thought it was too long. I agree, even though it's a short movie. It's an independent film. I would have got that thing down to like 55 minutes or something. Let's chop some more out of there. And like the 911 call that seems to go on forever. I'm just like, okay, this is a little much.
I do want to talk about something that kind of creeped me out and kind of really got me to like pay attention, was when they're in that pizza diner place and Art just comes in and sits down and just stares at them. Yeah, like, but like even before that, like it like he looked scary and mean, and like he was staring at her for a long time, and then of course he pops this smile up, and I'm like, this dude is just fucking creepy, man. Like, that's a no for me. Yeah, like that face that he's doing now is what he was doing for like 4 minutes straight, and I'm like, I'm out. I am out of there.
All I could think about when this scene was going on is, oh my god, this is Tina if Halloween 5 was made I guess in 2018. But
Thank you. It was. It
oh,
was. When her demise came, I enjoyed it.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, it's a 2 for me. I know that's probably sounds criminally low, but I gotta stay on the same scale here in terms of rating movies. And
yeah,
we
You're
got
a good guy.
It's I'm an ass. You can say it. I'm being a little harsh, but I'm giving it a 2.
You're not. I've openly said that there's not a big story here, and people involved in the movie have said that. So I mean, again, they probably didn't expect it to turn, at least the second one, to turn into what it did turn into. So they were probably kind of just shocked. So I don't know. I don't know if this was. You said what?
They definitely have a character that they can go and make money off of. 100 billion.
True, but even with let me ask you this real quick. I know this is jumping ahead, but I want to get your opinion on it. They made the second film for 350. I think it made at least 10 million, maybe a little more in limited theaters. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they'll be able to create even a bigger budget off of just that one film, or are they gonna have to find another studio? Like, do you know how this stuff like that works? I'm not sure if you do, but
yeah, well, it all depends on who the IP owner is. If David Leone, is that the guy that did it? Is that his name? Or Damien Leone. Damien Leone, that's it. If he's the IP owner, which I don't know if he is or not, but if he's the owner of that character and that character hasn't been sold to any other studio, he's done the George Lucas. He's done the George Lucas created Star Wars, and Fox passed on owning anything and not asking for any merchandising rights. So really, it all sits with him and how much money he ends up making off of it. The movie's made $12 million worldwide. My guess is there's a bunch of people now that have seen this movie, have seen the character, that would be willing to help finance a much bigger budget movie. Not necessarily a big budget movie, but go get something made, $4 or $5 million and
I was about to say, can we reach the millions at least?
Yeah, I think we would. But I think the problem comes with the IP owner. Again, I don't know if it's Damien Leone, but
it is. Yeah, it is.
To get studio involvement in there, and people are meddling, and even if it's simply something as distribution, you still get meddling on that side. So,
well, let me ask you this, Shawn. If you were Damien and you just made all this money off of the second one, would you want to put it? You personally, would you want to put it into a studio's hands to get that extra budget, or would you want to stay true to what you have done? What would you do? I know that's a complicated question, but
I relish creative freedom, so I would prefer to be able to do whatever the hell I want to do with the character, right? Without having Tom, Dick, and Harry,
that's true,
dudes come in and fuck around with what I'm doing. However, I'm a father of 3. If I can set their lives by selling this character or getting other studios involved with it, and make the rest of my life be comfortable and their lives be comfortable, and maybe even their kids' lives at least get a head start on it, that probably weighs into it too. And then there's the performer, like there's the IP holder, Damien Leone, but then there's David Howard Thornton, and they almost got to be married to one another, because obviously Art the Clown wasn't the success whenever he appeared in any of those other films with someone else playing the part. So things can get complicated and messy here whenever there's dollars and cents involved, dude.
Yeah, and I'm just the other thing I'm worried about too is, I didn't ask David this, but I've heard many of interviews since the second film has come out that Damien only wants to make 3 movies with Art the Clown. He doesn't want to milk this. I don't know if that mindset changes when them dollar bills start coming into your bank account.
I don't know if they will then, because if that's the stance that he's holding on this, he might not want involvement from anybody else. He might go the hell. I don't know how he did his crowdfunding. I'm assuming he didn't pay out of pocket for the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe he did some crowd funding, but I think that if he's already has his mindset on there's only going to be 3, my guess is he's not going to go and get some big studio involved then. Like I haven't done
Yeah.
any of the research yet for the second movie to dig in to see how many other names were involved, how many other people were involved. But for him, it could be, it is what it is. He gets out there, makes his 3 movies, and doesn't want them to be touched. Some people want it that way. I know people want to milk, but sometimes there doesn't need to be 27 movies for something to be enjoyable.
True. I know it's just hard to move away from a character like that, if they're so, if they're good. So I don't know.
Well, he also runs into the problem with what happens if David Howard Thornton goes, well, I want X amount of dollars to be able to continue to play this part.
That's true.
I'm not saying he would. I don't know the guy. You talk to him, but I do know this. Whether we like it or not, the world does revolve around money. And,
Yeah.
I wish the best for everybody involved. Like, make no mistake, even though I'm highly critical of what this film ultimately is, there's a incredible character created in this. But again, if Simon Jones ends up playing Art the Clown 2 movies from now, is it going to be any good? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Time for acting. If you guys submitted a score for story and pace, can you guys put it back in the chat again and just clarify that it's story and pace? And then when you give your score for acting, also put that the chat as well, but also mark them for what each one represents, please. Acting for me is a 3. Now let me explain.
No, go ahead.
All 3 points are David Howard Thornton. Like if I was to just judge his performance, it'd be like a 9.5, a 9 or a 9.5. Like he's incredible in this movie. But I can't find one other performer in the movie that doesn't make me want to beat my head off a desk, man. And it made it a hard watch. So I'm hoping that in the second movie, there's at least people that know how to act.
Again, you got a hell of a final girl in that second movie. A guy that we both adore, Mike Flanagan, is all up in heels over her. So I wouldn't be surprised if he snatches her up pretty soon. But I agree with you. I think I held David Howard Thornton's acting a little. I think it was just it was just him, and I gave it a 7 because he is the acting. No offense to the other people in this movie, but there was nobody that I did not care about the main character in this movie. Like I was rooting for Art the Clown in this movie.
Yeah.
And my final girls that I enjoy watching, I am usually rooting for them. So I love seeing Sidney Prescott kick ass, and it's just awesome. So I think that for me, I gave it a 7, and it's solely because of David Howard Thornton.
Triple Glax says we keep freezing. Does anybody else see the freezing, or are we good? And is it on his or her end?
Yeah, is it my end or sorry? Go ahead.
They might have been talking because I quickly went and checked something and probably changed the way. Yeah,
gotcha.
Steve says he gave it a 7-2, Mike, for David Howard Thornton. 3.5 from Triple Glax. I'm assuming that is for the acting. 6.5 for pacing from Steve. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. No, it's 1 to 10, man. 1 to 10. Each category is 1 to 10. All right, let's continue on then. Let's dive into cinematography. All right, Mike, you take lead off on this one.
Cinematography for me is just gonna come down to the shots as far as the kills that were on screen. I thought the kills were pretty interesting. There is, I was talking to somebody that was telling me about this movie before I watched it, and they said, "Let me know when you watch the scene." And I said, "Oh, Shawn, you got to take that off." No,
I
you don't. You don't have to.
Yeah, blurred it. Kind of.
They told me text me when you watch the scene, and I'm like, okay, can you give me a little bit more than that? And they were like, not really a storyline here. Art the Clown's amazing, but text me when you watch the scene. And I'm like, what the fuck is the scene? Will you just tell me? And they're like, no, watch the movie. The picture that you have up right now is probably one of the most gruesome scenes that I have watched. It made me cringe. It's making me a little sick to my stomach now, just looking at her face. It's not so bad now, so let me stop overreacting. But watching it happen, it was pretty gut wrenching, if I have to be honest with you. So for the budget that they had and the kills that they were able to pull off in this, I gave it a 7.5. There's like no beautiful shots of the sunrise or the lighting or anything like that. But for the kills and what they were able to film, I gave it a 7.5. And I can tell you, Shawn, that I'm going to give you a heads up now. I want you to message me on Facebook when you watch Terrifier 2 and you see the scene. And that's all I'm going to say.
Nothing else needed. So there's a lot of great kills in this. A lot of them over the top. Most of them stomach turning for a lot of people. But
not you.
I don't know. Again, though, I think even with that scene, it's like, oh yeah, that's all right. That's very graphic, and he's fucking sawing her in half, and on one level it's like okay, but like on another level it's like, you know, it almost stays too long, where it just you know, to me the thought of it happening and it going in, and then like if they would have cut to her face and like allowed the face to, you know, exhibit, she probably didn't have the acting range to do it, but you know, the
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Theater of the mind, and we lose all that. And again, that's just a personal preference. Again, though, for me, I don't think the cinematography is very good in this film at all. I think a lot of the shots are stationary and it shows. And so for me, because of the kills, I gave it a justifiable score. But in terms of actual cinematography and the designing of a shot and the lighting, I don't know. It just doesn't hit with me at all. I give it a 4, man. 4 out of 10.
I'm not gonna argue with you, man. I can't sit here and debate you on any of these things. Really none of them. So I mean, listen, man, that's definitely your score. And I said from the jump that I was very favorable with this one. So yeah, we'll go with that.
Our boy Justin Smith says 5 for cinematography, 7.5 for triple clocks, and 7.5 from Steve. Justin, by the way, I just saw this come across my phone now. I haven't really had a chance to be on my phone very much. Did CM Punk post a story of him backstage with FTR or some shit? They seem to be really plugging away at that. I know, wrong show, wrong time, but yeah. All right, let's keep on the train here, man. It's time for the writing. and directing. Writing and directing. So in terms of the writing, I don't think it's very good in this film at all. I can't give the performers the blame when you got some just horrible lines in this movie. It's just, should I put on my 7th pot of coffee for the day or whatever it was there? It's just like, really? Could we not find a better way to, I don't know. Again, I'm nitpicking. Wasn't very happy with the writing in it at all. However, the directing in the film, look at how the scenes come off. Look how David Howard Thornton comes off. Like, it's very, very good. They had $35,000 and still made this film. So it was like mixed bag. If it was 2 different categories, you'd have one at like 1 or 2 and the other one at like a 9. And
True, yeah.
so, but they're combined. I give it a 5. It's a 5 out of 10 for me.
I think I went more of the directing on this one. I gotta learn to start remembering in my heart of hearts that you can't just focus on one. You got to combine them. Because I gave it an 8, and that was mostly for the directing. I think you gave it a little bit higher for the directing by itself, but it was good to me. I definitely think that the writing suffers a little bit. I know the lines suck, but I also wonder, because it's such a jump, and it's just crazy to me how big of a jump everything is, and I wonder how bad the writing was, because I mean, obviously the dialogue could have been better, but as far as like storyline and stuff like that for the writing, like, was it written because they knew the budget was so low? Because I remember, this does not compare, but I remember when quarantine first started, I wrote like a little short film that I wanted to do, and to me, I thought it was pretty okay. But when I got down to thinking about it, like, I just wrote the script, and like, how am I going to pull any of this stuff off? So I wonder if the writing does suffer because of what you have to work with in general, and that's with everything involved. So, but mostly for the directing, I gave it an 8.
All righty. I guess we got to introduce Sound and Score and talk about other people's scores. 6.5 for Matt. I don't know if we got any of Matt's other scores. I didn't see them.
That's because he's in and out sleeping, duh.
Or is he at and in and out? Directing is good. Writing is awful. 7. 7 from Steve. Matt gave something an 8 and then something a 6.5. You're gonna have to help us out here, Matt. A little more patient, my dude. And in the meantime, we'll move on to sound and score. All right, so there's not much of a score, in my opinion, when it comes to this movie, like, at all. But the sound design in the movie, when you consider it's a $35,000 movie, is very good. Like, the sound design impacts the kills.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, I don't have a lot of complaints there. I can't give it a incredible score because, you know, it's sound and score. But again, much like with the writing and the directing, I gave it a 5. What the interesting thing here is, like, my points might tally up to 19 out of a possible 50 points. So not a good score for me. And yet I can see the potential here. So it actually makes me excited to finally dive into number 2 and sit down and watch it and go, okay, well, what did they do with more time to think about things? David Howard Thornton has more time in the character, or with the character. I'm like, normally if a movie came off scoring the way that it has for me, I'd have no interest in seeing the next movie. But you know, positive word of mouth helps with that too. So I am curious to see where the improvement is in movie number 2.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Like, I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad that you want to watch the second one. I was talking about this the other night on my. I just recorded a recent podcast that dropped today of top horror movies of 2022, and we were talking about Terrifier 2, and I was just talking about like explaining to people who have not seen the Terrifier movies, because I like 2 so much. Like, how could this sounds bad, but like, how could I get them past Terrifier 1? Like, would they be able to watch Terrifier 1 and still be interested to watch Terrifier 2? Because if they can get to Terrifier 2, it's really good in my opinion. So it's getting them past that hump. So for me, I was intrigued with Art the Clown. In this film. So obviously you were too, and that you saw the potential. So the hope there is that people who have not seen it yet can at least be intrigued with his character, because if you are not intrigued with his character and it doesn't do anything for you, you're not going to watch the second one. You're not going to want to watch the second one at all. There's just no point if you're not a fan of Art the Clown. But sound and score, Shawn, I gave it a 6. Again, there's really no score here. There's not a major score in the second one. There are a lot more music and stuff like that in the second one. Again, so it is an upgrade. But like, he doesn't have like a theme, if that makes sense yet. But sound design in this one I thought was really good, so I gave it a 6. But yeah.
All right, so let's dive into this a little bit. Matt says the cinematography was an 8, writing and directing was a 6.5. And I agree with basically what you said, man. I think our scores for sound and score were the closest they've been all night.
Obviously.
Before we dive into the rest of the scorecard, though, let's dive in to the best kill. So the best kill for me was originally going to be that scene, as Mike pointed out earlier. But the further you go into the movie, and it didn't register at first to me either. It took me a while to piece this together. Really didn't know to the end, to be honest. Is the opening kill with the news reporter there, and I can't remember the other girl's name, the sister who sadly comes and sees all this mess, with her mangled face. I did think that, just in terms of to backtrack a little to the scorecard, I thought that was a very nice touch to the movie, that the movie had come full circle, and I don't necessarily think that it's laid out that way. So there's some creative liberties taken there that I think pan out. And because of that, and again, it pushes the narrative a little bit, the reason why she kills that girl. Look what she just went through. Look what she just lost. Even though the movie doesn't necessarily do a great job of depicting that, put yourself in that position and tell me that thought at least doesn't go through your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that was, I do like how that comes full circle. It makes me think that, was there ever a plan to even make a second film? So that's interesting in itself. I just think the way that it ended, maybe not. But yeah, man, I think that it's I don't know. I think for me, it's going to be the hacksaw kill. Just going back to how I felt watching it, and how it did make me turn my head. I rarely turn my head on a lot of stuff. The fact that I wasn't her biggest fan and it happened to her, to her, but and then the picture that you got up now is, I don't know, just Art is just a character, man, and that whole scene was gut wrenching. It was gruesome, in my opinion. So I had to go best kill with the hacksaw scene.
I figured that would be, and it's probably the rightful selection. Here's a no-brainer one: the MVP. I'd say we could go on and about who should be the MVP, but like, I think we've already done that for the last hour.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be the employee in the shop, in the pizza shop. It's got to be him.
What about Mikey in the
Mikey.
the coveralls? Yeah.
Yeah, fucking with his music blasting and all.
Oh man.
Creep. David Howard Thornton. I think that's obviously that's not even close. Like, I think out of all of the movies that we've done by far, this is pretty unanimous as far as 100%. Like, there is nobody else that can compete like that even crosses your mind. It's David Howard Thornton, and we've gone through pretty much in every category with this film. You know, just alluding to how great he was in this film.
David Howard Thornton, and regardless of what this guy gets to do next, like he's probably opened some eyes to be like, okay, hey, look at what he did here. What could he do with this project? You know, so he, regardless of what Damien Leone does moving forward, David Howard Thornton has options. Let's take a look at the scorecard, the damage, man, the evidence, what it shows. I had story and pacing at a 2. Mike had it at 7. Mike had acting at 7. I had it at 3. Cinematography was a 4 for me and a 7.5 for Mike. Writing and directing was an 8 for Mike and a 5 for me. Sound and score was a 6 for Mike and a 5 for me, bringing our individual totals to a 38% film from me and a 71% film from Mike, bringing the overall score of Terrifier from the Overlook Drive-In to a 54.5%, which I'm just trying to look back now. I do not believe this is our lowest ranked film.
I don't think so either. I think it's Halloween 2, I believe, but I might be wrong.
Hopefully not Halloween 2 from 1981 or someone sabotaged this shit.
No. I'm sorry. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Ugh, that thing.
I believe it was either that or his first one.
Trying to pull it up here now. I'm not seeing it. But yeah. Oh, hang on. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, you know what? I don't have the score for Resurrection in front of me. I don't know if Resurrection was where it was, but Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie was 56.5%.
Oh wow. I thought we had something at 51, but I might be wrong.
Might be Resurrection. So I'll have to
okay.
go check and update everything over the holidays and get to it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show this evening. Let's please remember that we do have another show on Monday nights. We go live at 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday Night Fandom. We'll be doing a lot of gaming over there, but while we're playing those games, and some of it will be horror-based games, we'll also be talking fandom stuff and whatever news is out there. You know, we had a very exciting board game chat last night where there was some wild things discovered by some people that have been living under a rock and haven't played Monopoly. Tommy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Mike, what do you got going on, man? Where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at @MichaelBish_. You can follow the Take One podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. I just released an episode today. Had a special guest by the name of Jess. We go over our top 10 horror movies of 2022. And it's probably no secret at what's number one for me. Yeah, no secret. I'm not gonna say it.
Well, hopefully not Halloween Ends, or else something wild has happened over a few weeks.
Okay, so make sure everybody goes and listens to the podcast because I think the list is really, really good. Number one was Terrifier 2 for me. Yeah, Terrifier 2. I had to do it.
Man, you're hyping this thing up big. Oh, I hope it sticks to the landing.
It probably won't for you. But
wow.
Another nugget, though. Another nugget. Halloween Ends doesn't even make my top 10.
I don't know if I've seen 10 new horror movies, so I don't know if I could properly do that list. I will say this, though. I think all 3 Fear Street movies are better than the final 2 Halloween movies in David Gordon Green's trilogy.
Ooh, interesting. That's a good conversation to have. But there were a lot of good, in my opinion, horror movies that came out this year. A lot of good originals. So, yeah, the list is up over on Take One. If you have a chance, please go subscribe to the channel and give a listen. It's greatly appreciated.
If you haven't yet, slash that like button. Helps other people find the stream, find the video after it's posted, be able to listen to us on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or any fucking day they want. If you want to support the channel at another level, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. And if you sign up ahead of next week, you'll get a chance to, at least at the Gold Room tier, you'll be able to hear and listen and participate in our review and ranking of Halloween from 1978, exclusively to the Gold Room next week, alongside Terrifier 2, which will be available publicly on YouTube. And again, Monday Night Fandoms is Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, 2023 is going to kick off with the Batman and 7. We'll see you next week. For Mike, I'm Shawn. Merry Christmas. Stay safe.
Merry Christmas.
We'll see you on the flip side. Don't get into a car with art. It won't end well.